Okay, it's March 4th, 2023, and I'm just gonna walk through to kind of get a sense of where things are. It feels like spring is hitting a little early this year. It might not be. That's why I record these, so I can keep track of that. But it does feel like spring is trying to hit, and everything's flushing out. So mulberry trees already leafed out. Got daffodils in bloom. There was a windstorm last night, so everything's blown around just a little bit. We're adding some new beds actually today. I've already got what I want planted in there. It's asparagus and raspberries and a fig tree. Threw some cardboard and compost down, and I'll just deep mulch the rest. And peach trees already in bloom. Added this whole bed along the side over the fall and winter this year. So that's new. And I've already thrown in some berry bushes. I'd like for it to be a hedge, but a hedge that makes food for the most part. Good morning, buddy. Neighbor's dog. Elderberry. And yeah, the backyard is a mess from the wind. So the pond with the amaryllis is doing great. Got a real liner in it, that helps. I like hearing the noises in the morning, the birds and stuff. All right, the plastic is still down here from covering up when it's been cold, but we haven't had any freezing nights in quite a while actually. So there's the actual garden. I scooped out the chicken area back here, the kennel, and filled up this whole bed. And then on this bed, I actually put them in that little hoop house guy. I don't know what else to call it. And I drug it down the bed. It's the width of the bed. I did that semi on purpose. And let them scratch around, and then also have buried some eggs that did not hatch from the incubator. So curious to see which side does a little better, if it's the same, if it's going to be the side with the actual chicken poop, veggie scraps, hay, compost out of their cage, or the side that they just worked for me. That'll be kind of an experiment. See, we already have things volunteering. That's going to be some kind of, actually it's probably a pumpkin, because I planted some pumpkin seeds there last year at the end of summer, and a few of them came up. It just hit me that I was sniffly from being outside. This is, you can barely see it, where our asparagus is, and it's snipped off because I've been giving it to my mom. So it is big enough now finally to eat. The chickens heard me, and so they're ready to start their day. All down the fence. The raspberries haven't leafed out yet, so it looks a little naked right now, but you can see the roses. They're basically evergreen here. Everything with leaves along the fence is roses, and then in between all those is either a raspberry or blueberry. I'm excited to see how that looks this year. So here it is from this way. You can see my piles up by the barn. That'll have to be tidied up soon if I'm going to be out in the garden working. So added this border. I've put in some pretty bulb flowers and some bare root strawberries. And then on the inside I have, what is it? I see blackberry on this side. That might be all that took root. And then on the other side there is a grapevine and a raspberry that are already leafing out. So I know that they made it, so that's good. I can't remember how much I've added. So the barn where we keep all the animal feed and the lawnmower and everything, I say this is a barn, it's actually our garage, but it looks like our barn. So added all this garden bed around it. I had this in front of the coop last year, but it's gotten bigger, of course. So we do have some sweet peas coming up right there, and some garlic. then that is a flower. That one's just a pretty flower. I think it might be phlox, but I could be wrong. And then that is feverfew, so that's medicinal. And then there was some stevia in there, and we will see if it comes back. In this bed, I was hoping to make this bed, I think in the garden plan on the end here, I would like to do medicinal flowers. So we have St. John's wort and valerian, and then more feverfew. And I think for the summer, there's lots of salvia coming up in it from last year, but I think for the summer, what I have written down for here is okra. Being noisy. Hey, they're still working on that Christmas tree. They're enjoying that because all kinds of bugs try to hide in it. But they're ready for me to feed them because they saw me. So this was going to be an herb spiral, and then I planted some herbs out in it and they died in the hard frost. So now it looks like the mint is going to make it, of course. And then I threw some seeds in there for some other herbs. We'll see if they come up. But I also moved some strawberries in there because they were getting munched on by everything on the ground. Sorry, I got sniffly. This is my oregano. And that is actually parsley, which I thought was going to be an annual. And it just keeps coming back out because it just keeps leafing out. And then oregano I knew was just going to get, that's why I put it inside of this. For some people, things like mint and lemon balm take over. For me, it's oregano. So it's just different for everyone, I think. Blueberries. Got my row of blueberries here. That one's starting to get some growth. Same with that one. The greenhouse, if you can call it that, is looking more like a greenhouse. I'm building this as I go, all by myself, with stuff that I find or am gifted. So it's pretty homemade. But it is starting to hold some temperature, so we'll see. Did some winter sowing of some things, and that's coming up. This is actually hops, which I've never grown before. I've got to figure out where I'm going to put that because that gets viney. So I might actually grow it in the bed in front of the chicken area and let them have it. Some flowers. This I know is amaranth, and the rest are things I threw in there because I was in the mood to plant something, so we'll have to wait and see. These are some tomatoes. Pink brandywine is most of them, and then there's two that are definitely not pink brandywine. And it was a situation where I said, I'll remember what it is, and I don't. But those are for me anyway, so that's okay. And then I did some snapdragons winter sown, some lavender, which has like, 2 or 3 little plants in there. I can't remember what this is. It could be dill, or it could be cumin. And then nothing so far in that one. That one is hibiscus, like roselle. I think my neighbor's dog is about to come out. And here we have noodle beans, some tomatoes that are labeled, and some Ukrainian slicing cucumbers. I just went ahead and planted those with my first round of seeds, and I'm curious to see how long they last in those cups. Just trying some things out this year because, like I said, it's warmed up quickly, so I have some time to play around. Hopefully. So some of this is spinach. That's a bulb flower, I do know that. I threw some seeds in here, but I think all of that coming up is weeds. I was waiting to see if it was my seeds or weeds. This is a mess back here because we have a neighbor's dog, a third neighbor's dog, that really likes our dog and insists on coming over to visit, and I don't want him coming over to visit. So until we can spend a weekend putting in a real fence, I have thrown together what I could with what I had on hand. This is the backyard area that I would like to be a lovely forest type garden, like a natural looking garden, but the kids love to play back here. So now it's our bunny area. They're also ready for something because they've seen me now, so they think it's time to eat. That's Rex. He's our original grandpa bunny. So he's dad to all of these. And Pom Pom over there, she got separated because she looked sick, and she has totally bounced back once she got her own room. So I think there was some sibling rivalry going on, and now she's happy. So I just bought some hydrangeas that I think I'm going to put along this fence because it actually gets a lot of shade when it's hot. So that'll be it'll be privacy, but it'll also just be beautiful because it's hydrangeas. I can hear this chicken's so loud. Sorry, neighbors. This is why you can't have roosters in town. So there's not a lot coming up. There are strawberries. There are still canna lilies that I thought I had gotten up that I did not. There's some herbs down at the end here, which I kind of like to leave. I did plant blueberry. Oh, that one leafed out. That one didn't have leaves when I planted it. That's good. Blueberries on either side of the entrance, so that's nice. Like I said, I would like for it to look landscaped, but sneakily all the landscape be food. That's my goal here. So we have chicory, and then something coming up next to the chicory, which is some other kind of flower. I know that. And that is bergamot or butterfly weed. And then there's some lilies, because they are just everywhere, that I will go dig up and put somewhere that I want pretty things, because I need my garden space. And then there's thyme. I'm not sure what that guy is. It's probably a weed, but I'm watching it for now. And then this started coming up, and I'm hoping that this is my stevia, because this is where it was, and it's supposed to be perennial, but then we got that night that it got down to like 12 degrees with a wind chill of 8 degrees, and so many things struggled. Anything that you see out made it. I'm impressed with some of these other things that made it, but man, struggle. So more herbs on this side and another lily on this side, which is so funny because our last name is Lily and they're growing everywhere. Lemon balm, and that's more garlic. And then I separated my clumps of lemongrass and put a clump in this one and a clump in that one. I've got it kind of stuck everywhere to see where it does best. And yeah, like I said, this is just the other end. So there's roses that you can see and raspberries and blueberries that you cannot see yet. But this should be in a couple months totally different. We're getting close. Our last estimated frost date this year is April the 3rd, which is wild. That seems really early. But I'm going to keep an eye on it. And yeah, and beyond that, that means we're a month from planting things in the garden potentially. And the seeds are already started, so they'll be ready to go. Honeysuckle is very happy, and I threw in some fall gold raspberries. It's our giant blackberry that I refused to move when we gravelled the area here. So I'm training it up the side of the house. I just love the way it looks when it blooms all up the side of the house, so I got to keep it there. I've got some asparagus crowns ready to go for our plant giveaway. Got some other hardy kiwis. I have one, and he's coming back. But I heard that you need multiple for it to actually fruit. So I saw a 2-pack at Sam's and bought it. So now I will have 3. And then here are all my seedlings. Not all of them. Some of them have already been up-potted and put in the garage. These are some that are for me. That will stay here. That's why I put them in the pots that I want to keep. But we've got tomatoes, peppers, herbs. There's ground cherries in this one. I've got some more winter sowing. This is swamp mallow. I've always wanted to grow this, and I got some at a seed swap, so that's great. This one has, this is bachelor's buttons. You can see it. This little teeny guy here is tobacco. And that's, truthfully, I've just never been able to find seeds for it before. So I thought that was cool. I'm growing it because I thought it was cool that you could get seeds. This is stevia that I'm growing for a friend because he really wanted stevia. And I told him, well, someone else told him I could grow it.
So I had to buy seeds and start him some because I thought mine in the back had died. This is horehound, which is good for making cough drops and cough medicine. So like I said, I'm trying to add in some more flowering herbs, things that we can use for teas, things that we can use for tinctures. Just, you know, just because it's nice to have on hand. And probably a good idea to have on hand. We have 4 kids, so there's lots of sniffling. You can hear me sniffling. And this is all I'm using for right now. If it's going to get below 40, I do bring all this inside. Or, if I want to be risky, I have a seed starting mat, seedling heat mat. Ordered a 2-pack on Amazon a couple years ago, and it came with 2 silicone seed starting trays, actually. I don't like using these on the heat mat because they don't have a bottom watering tray, so they dry out really quickly. But I do like them in general because they're very easy to pop the seedling out of without hurting anything. Oh, that got blown all around. Goodness, I just saw that. So, but then we ordered, I think maybe Zaxby's chicken or something for a dinner at church, and so that tray works perfectly for that little silicone guy. But what I'll do is I'll turn on the heating mat, have it kind of in the middle, and I'll turn it on and zip it shut, and and then water everything, and it keeps it pretty good and toasty and moist in here. Very greenhousey, because my greenhouse in the back is not sealed yet. So yeah, that is, our trash can got blown open, my tub got blown over. That is about it. We've got our winter stuff currently going. Beets, carrots, those are they're chantenay carrots, so they're short, so I'm trying them in a container. Lettuce and spinach, I've got all that stuff going. I threw the basil in the bigger pots because it was just getting root bound in the small ones. I had it inside, so I'll just have to drag those in and out if it gets too cold, or throw them in the garage because we have a garage door now. But yeah, everything is doing good. Everything is happy, and everything seems as ready for spring as I am. So I'm excited to see what this looks like in a month from now.